And the patient in bed 9, he was born at 32 weeks of gestation, now day 7. He's on CPAP of 5 in a with good sets, off antibiotics. His cultures has been negative. He's on full feeds, EBM, and he's tolerating his calories. His sugars has been good as well. He did have kangaroo cuddle with mom today. He was a bit tachypnic earlier on, but I think he's setting. I think he should be fine.
Oh, cool. Look, Sachin, that sounds great. Look, there is another little one I think you should watch closely tonight. Little Jake, he's 24 weeks in bed, 18, I think. Look, Jen's had him today, and he's had a few raddies and DSATs, but just see he's not fatiguing, and maybe do a gas in a few hours if you think.
Okay, Trish. I'll call you in a few hours' time and update you. I don't think there is much in labor ward.
Excellent. Okay. All right. I'm going to head home. Just call me for anything. You know where I am. Bye. How do I pitch and navigate such a critical conversation? I'm good at communication. I can relate to people. I'm compassionate. I care. But does she know the reality of the situation we're in tonight? What I'm going up there to discuss, the real purpose of this conversation? An antenatal consult aims to provide information about the potential outcomes of prematurity and help guide families in making decisions. A gold standard is the shared decision-making model. And then that helps determine the initial management, lying somewhere between two complete extremes, from palliative care, which ultimately leads to this baby's death, or resuscitation and provision of intensive care. It's not that I don't know enough. This isn't an everyday situation. But did this baby ever get in a clinical trial? Are stats even useful or valid here? Do I just go in and present outcomes for 23 weeks, but just a little bit less because of the heart? And I wonder, who is she? Her family, her work, her household. Maybe she comes from a busy household with toddlers and kids just tearing up the joint. Or not. Maybe for her, this is her last chance of a pregnancy, the last roll of the IVF dice. I have the capacity to see the person before me and explore her hopes and dreams, but I might be about to shatter them. Or maybe she knows what's ahead when she started bleeding today. Or maybe she's always known. For her, this pregnancy just feels different this time. So what's the advice for a critical conversation like this? Prepare the setting, the message, and yourself. Come on, the delivery room is hardly comforting. Machines, bleeps, paperwork, hospital bedding, and a mattress covered in plastic, and clinical lighting. Christ, it's hardly a counsellor's office with a comfy sofa and cushions and pastel colours on the wall and artwork, maybe of a forest or something. Instead, there's a resuscitator in the corner. This is real. This is happening now. And privacy? It's more like a steady stream of interruptions, but maybe while we speak, I can just stem them just a little while. Is there a good time to have this conversation? She's bleeding, contractions. She's scared. One study suggests ASAP after maternal admission before labour and contractions kick in, and preferably in daylight hours. And what can I do to prepare myself in this time? To gather my thoughts a little, to be emotionally available to her. Be present. No distractions. Just here. What message? 23 weeks and congenital heart disease? They don't go together well. Come on, think about it. Inherent problems of PDA, massive risk of hemorrhage. This baby's a sitting duck for neck. What will his growth be like? And surgery, when is that going to happen? So she's 23 weeks, right? How long ago did she get this news about the heart problem? I bet you it was only a few weeks ago. Maybe they've gone away and read extensively about what this means, or maybe not. Maybe they're just going to wait a little longer, just enjoy the pregnancy closer to the time of birth. What does she want to hear? What will he look like? Will he cry? What help will he need at birth? What are his chances of survival? Do I say survival or dying? What about his effect long term, but not just numbers, but something meaningful to her? I need to provide balanced information, not all just focused on negativity and detrimental outcomes and neurodevelopmental disability. But I need to be honest about the uncertainty here. No guarantees. So what is in this baby's best options? Do I go on in and offer full resuscitation and intensive care at all costs, despite a pretty poor outlook? Is that fair? Is that my choice as an neonatologist to just make that decision? Where do I really sit with this? I know what an ICU journey holds for this baby. This is months of intensive care, procedures, and just an agonizing roller coaster for the family. But am I bringing my personal bias to the table here? Do I go on in there and tell them, I'm sorry, it's too hard, let him go, better luck next time? I think I'm just being a bit too harsh here, but if someone else was on call tonight, you know, what would they say? The people I work with, Noel French, Mary Sharp, they got decades of experience. Would they say the same? Or if this baby was in another institution tonight, would they present the same options and choices? Studies have shown parents feel responsible for the decisions made and actively want to be involved in that decision-making process. So I wonder if I asked her, where would she sit? Somewhere along that spectrum between parent-led and doctor-led? Is she focused on quality of life or quantity of life at all costs? If I say, where do you want to make the decision? Do you want to do this independently or in partnership, collaboration with the medical team, or does she want me to tell her what to do? What would I do if I was in her place? Sure, fair enough. My words are going to be alien to her, and they're likely to inflict intense pain. I mustn't lecture her or block or dismiss what she says. And as horrible as I feel, I mustn't offer that premature reassurance that everything's going to be fine. I need to give her time to just absorb and reflect and just think. But honestly, I don't know how long we've got before she's going to deliver. swamped by emotion, no longer able to hear any more words, other than those few just resonating in her ear. Or maybe just the preservation of now. There's no room here for anything else. My baby's going to be fine, doctor. And what information or written aids might she want, if anything? Christ, I don't think a pamphlet's going to cut it here tonight. Nicutor to help her prepare, maybe. I doubt that's going to happen, though, if she's contracting. But what can I offer her? I can be present. I can hold her in mind, and I can walk with her the options available. I can show compassion and kindness. And that's not nothing. Space to think. Permission to ask questions. Maybe there's just one thing that's just sticking. She can't get beyond one thought. Maybe. And I need to acknowledge the support she has. Her partner, her family, maybe a best friend. Strong faith. And anticipate some questions. Why us? Is it my fault, doctor? I wonder, what is the meaning for this family here? What's a good outcome? Are our views going to be the same? I wonder, really, what matters to her most? Is it this child survives or goes to a normal school? A motherhood story? The immeasurable joy and love this child might bring, no matter how short a time? Even if it's just an hour tonight, just time for her to think. Call her loved one. Cry. What can I do in this space? I can brief my team. Mrs. Waterford, my name's Trish Woods. I'm a paediatrician. I work in the intensive care unit for babies downstairs. I've come to see you tonight as you're in labour ward. Is that okay? Speak with you? Thank you. Your doctors have told me a little about you, but I'd like to just take some time and discuss a bit further. Is that okay? That's great. Thank you. Can you tell me what's happened to you tonight? I'm sorry, that must be extremely frightening for you. Could you perhaps just tell me a little about your family? And is he trying to get a flight tonight to be with you? Sure. Is there anyone you would like me to call to be with you in the meantime? Okay, and perhaps would you like a midwife to sit with us and just listen to our conversation? Okay, all right, that's fine. Can you tell me, do you have a name for your baby already? Elijah, lovely. And can you tell me about your pregnancy so far? Okay. And when you found out you were carrying Elijah, what did that mean to you? And you recently had a special scan of Elijah's heart, is that right? Okay, right. And can you tell me what you learnt from that? The TOF, that's right, the tetralogy of fallow. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Can you perhaps share with me what you understand by that term? That's right. And what did that mean to you when you found that out? I can see what carrying Elijah means to you, and I'm sorry this is so upsetting. But I think it's important that you understand what it might mean for Elijah if he's born tonight. I understand, and I'm sure your partner wishes he was right here holding your hand, but I can return as soon as he comes and we can talk again. But I really feel we should just use this time just to talk a bit further and explore things. Is that okay? Thank you. Elijah is 23 weeks, and every part of him is growing and developing and not quite ready yet. He's really vulnerable. His little heart, his lungs, his tummy, and his little brain particularly. Every part of him is going to need help and support. For Elijah, I think this means months of intensive care in our baby unit. And there are complex decisions that need to be made along every step of his journey. And we, as a medical and nursing team, are here to support you and help guide you in making those decisions for Elijah. The majority of babies born at this time survive prematurity, and we watch them grow and develop throughout their childhood. But I'm concerned for Elijah being born extremely preterm and his heart condition. He may have a higher chance of some problems, some complications, like bleeding into his brain. And I'm sorry, but it's hard to know what that might mean for Elijah. That may well affect his early abilities into crawling and walking and talking, or when he goes to school and learning to do maths and read, or even later to grow up and get a job and support himself. And look, sometimes there are severe complications that, despite our best care and your wishes, that there's a chance that he might not survive. I know this is really hard to consider, but for some families, the prospect of having a child with a severe disability or learning problem is too much. Has there been a time this has ever come up for you earlier in your pregnancy or before? And can I ask, did you and your husband have the same view on this? Elijah is on the cusp of the age where we have the option to provide full life support and intensive care when he is born, or to not, and to provide palliative care. And that means that when he is born, we make sure he is comfortable and is warm and feels safe and loved. And you have the opportunity to hold Elijah for the precious time you have together before he passes away. This is probably the biggest parenting decision you are ever going to have to make. Can you tell me the meaning for you if Elijah's born tonight? Is the meaning in Elijah's survival and fight for life, or concerns about his life as a child? Can you tell me how you feel we should make these decisions for Elijah on his behalf? Is this something you would like to do alone with your partner, or to do with me and the medical team? Okay. I know that it's just so much to take in. But is there anything that you would like to ask me? What would I do? This is an impossible decision in many sense, and I can't answer. And it's impossible because I'm not Elijah's mother. The decision needs to be made from his parent that fits with your values and your beliefs and your family and the meaning of Elijah and the future is imagined, not what fits with me. It may be more helpful to think about what information I can provide to help guide your decisions. There is no right or wrong answer. I have cared for families who have loved their baby just as much as you do, Elijah, and have chosen not to offer resuscitation. And those families who have wanted everything possible done. I'd like to just give you a little time just to think, but I can offer to stay here and be with you, or I can just be outside if you'd like. Okay. There is no perfect script for this conversation. These are my words and my approach. Yours might differ. The first consult is an opportunity for this mother to explore the realization of what's happening and what the future might hold. To extend her unique qualities that potentiate her capacity to cope with this decision, and for a story of hope to emerge in a motherhood story. our work, we see parents rise to impossible challenges, making these decisions for their babies. And our words are powerful. They are likely to stay with this family imprinted long after they've forgotten my name and face, but become part of this family's story forever. It's important that you give yourself and give compassion and kindness, and most of all, to listen